The day after I heard that one of my family had had a tragic accident, I remember waking up, and before I even knew who I was filled with tremendous sadness. When something terrible happens to us, God forbid, it follows us around like a dark shadow. It seeps into every fiber, into every corner of our subconscious. There's no moment of the day or night, and even in our sleep, that we don't carry that burden. I cannot imagine what it must be like now to have a loved one held captive in those dark, satanic tunnels under Gaza, or worse, to be there. As much as I try and empathize, it's all too easy for life to just go on. That's not good enough. A Jew has a mitzvah to be noise oil b'chaveiro, literally to share the burden of his friend. And that's not just a nice platitude, because someone who fails to do this is considered to have been porish min hatzibor, separated himself from the community, and according to the Rambam Maimonides, ein lo chelek b'olam haba, he has no portion in the world to come. He may keep all of the mitzvahs, pray every morning with the dawn, be scrupulous in his business dealings, and give vast amounts of charity. But if he does not share the agony of his fellow Jew, share his grief, empathize, and feel deeply, he has no portion in the next world. I can tell you that this is a very difficult thing to do. I know that myself. Here in Jerusalem, Baruch Hashem, we've been spared so far the worst of this terrible onslaught, and long may it continue that way. But how do I keep the pain of my brothers and sisters uppermost in my heart? During the whole of the Second World War, Rabbi Eliyahu Dessler, one of the great rabbis of the last 100 years, never slept in a bed. He said, "How can I sleep in a bed when my brothers and sisters in Europe are living and dying in torment?" The Jewish people are not a religion. We're not a community. We're not a race. On the mystical level, we are one body, one soul. And because of this, at a time like now, when there's a decree against the Jewish people in heaven, an Eis Tzar Yaakov, a time of pain and tragedy for Israel, if we share that pain, those hostages, their families, and the soldiers on the front will suffer less. For example, let's say each one of us takes upon ourselves to lessen our physical pleasure, even just a little. Let's say we sleep with one pillow instead of two, or when we reach into our pocket to have a candy, we stop ourselves. Or if we're learning Torah, we learn something very difficult for an extra 10 minutes or so a day. Or we wake up 10 minutes earlier than normal, or we shower with warm water instead of piping hot. Even those small inconveniences add up. And Hashem puts all that in the balance of the suffering of the Jewish people in general, and that alleviates the pain and the suffering of our brothers and sisters who are really suffering. Our brothers, Achenu, the entire house of Israel, who are languishing in pain and captivity, may Hashem have mercy on them and bring them out from anguish to relief, from darkness to light, from captivity to redemption. Hashta ba'galav izman kariv v'noma amen.